Everyone, welcome to our show here on A Mexican Crossing Lines with your hosts, Cindy Gomez-Schempp
and Duke Gomez-Schempp.
We are glad to have you here tonight as we bring you a very important show, a very special show about a man named Wiyaka Eagleman, a.k.a. Wambli Wicasa, a.k.a. Featherboy. I don't know what other names he has. In fact, I don't know if the names I just told you that I do know for him are real names. Don't know. But what I do know is that this guy is a protester from the Standing Rock protest, calls himself a water protector. I do know that he is one of the admins on the Border Support Network group, aka previously known as Caravan Support Network, previously known as #Asylum Seeker Support Network, and previously known as Occupy ICE. Excuse me, Occupy or Abolish ICE? Maybe both. So, we got to find out more about this guy because he is an important figure that connects all of what is happening with the caravans and why there are Native Americans weighing in on it. Why there is a Native American connection, a connection that brings you directly to those people tied to the American Indian movement and its leadership. Many of whom are the people that organized what happened out here at the protest at Standing Rock that lasted for over a year, folks, here in the state of North Dakota. So you need to know why this man is important. What is he doing in Mexico? What's he doing in Tijuana? What's he doing in Texas? What is he doing involved at all in the organization, the funding, the support of the caravans of this orchestrated crisis at our southern border? Why? You need to know. We all need to be aware of this man and share this information so that everybody can learn about it. I'm going to be bringing you the Border Support Network framework from them. I'm going to show you their own breakdown, their own diagram, and we'll talk about it. We'll walk through it of this Border Support Network. But first, I want to, and all the people that it connects to, but first I want to thank you all for listening, for sharing this show, for following our pages, for supporting our work. Currently, I am, as you may have noticed, doing my shows a little bit later. The reason for that is because I am working diligently. Some of you out there know because you're helping me and you're putting in a lot of time, which I cannot thank you enough for. I don't know. We're racing toward a finish line. And here at home, Nemo can attest, we are busting our tucus. We are partiendo el lomo every day from the moment our eyes open to the moment they close. Well, that's not true. We did kick back and watch some boob tube. We do like to watch some news at night and watch some shows. Mm-hmm. Just to unwind your brain and then go to bed, because it can be a lot. And then I have this going through my head all night too, which is not very conducive to sleep. But I'm telling you folks, we are going to put on a presentation at this Association of Borderland Studies conference in San Diego. Duke, my technician, my friend, husband, director, scheduler. will be coming with me, and we need your support so that we can go out there to this Borderland Studies Conference. Also, we want to go to Tijuana and do some reporting. Duke, tell them how they can support our work.
Most definitely. Looking forward to it. I have to say right away for our radio listening audience, you're listening to 88.1 FM KPPP LP Fargo Moorhead, adding local color to your airwaves, and you're listening to A Mexican Crossing Lines. I would like to thank everybody who's made contributions towards our travel fund. It's it's making it possible that I can actually go with Cindy because she does need some assistance. She needs some technical assistance. She needs someone to make sure she doesn't leave her purse somewhere. A bunch of other things too. So it's like to travel safe. We owe that to the people who have contributed, but we just need a little bit more, and we're not being greedy. We're hardly going to eat anything because we don't eat much. We've got a place to stay. We don't have to pay for lodging. We have figured out transportation. Yeah, but just getting around with transportation is very expensive. And we do want to go to Tijuana, and that'd be a wonderful opportunity to actually meet Oscar El Blue, spend some time with him, get to know him better. It'll forge a relationship for time to come that we can continue working with him after we come back to the United States and back up to Moorhead, Minnesota, Fargo, North Dakota. But I'd like to thank people who have sent all this information. A lot of people are using Facebook. You can find us on Facebook at 88.1 FM Fargo Moorhead. We also have the People's Press Project, the Mexi-Can. Also, you can tweet us at media_PPP. You can email Cindy at kpppfm.com or me, Duke, at kpppfm.com. Also, Nemo at kpppfm.com. We really appreciate people going to our website at kpppfm.com. That's where you can go if you would like to make a contribution to our travel fund. We're leaving in less than a week. We're leaving in a week. A week from today, we fly out of Minneapolis. So we have to drive to Minneapolis, leave our car there. My brother lives there, so we're able to leave our car there and stay overnight and then Ubered over to the airport. But the flights are a lot cheaper out of Minneapolis than Fargo. So we're going to leave, next Monday and be on the ground in San Diego on Tuesday and be back the following Monday. So any support you can give us is very, very much appreciated. It'll make it so we can get around and help us accomplish this trip and this mission of presenting at the conference and this mission of actually reporting from Tijuana. You can go to kpppfm.com/donate. There's at the top of that page, there's a post that explains a little bit more about the conference, and it has links for going to our account to be able to make a contribution. Some people have talked about mailing a check, and you're totally welcome to do that. The address is on that donation page under making a donation to kpppfm.com. Basically, it's really been intriguing doing this work, and a lot of it is because of the people who've been participating. If you have information, send it to one of the ways we gave you. It all adds up. We use stuff that was given to us 3, 4, 5 months ago, and so we're
sometimes
banking.
Sometimes a year ago.
Sometimes a year ago.
Sometimes 2 years ago.
We're banking this information, and it's possible from viewers like you. This audience is so engaged. I'm always very impressed with the people who watch and people who keep on coming back, people who share our show, people who follow us. It's very, very important to me, and I thank you from the bottom of my heart. And like I said, I just hope you can help us out that we can actually make this trip so it's not a lot of hardship. I have put as much money as I have into it, and we just need a little bit more to be able to cover the cost of the transportation. So if you could do that, it would be wonderful and very much appreciated. You'll get receipts. I try to do an email within a day of if you send something in, I'll acknowledge it. You sent a donation in with a receipt, and we are a 501c3 nonprofit corporation, and we're accredited by the IRS. And, so it's tax deductible donation, and we very much appreciate that. And thank you from the bottom of my heart.
I can't wait to get out there and finally meet Oscar. That'll be fun. Also, I've never met the professor.
That's right.
Guadalupe Correa Cabrera. I'm excited to meet her in person as well. That's going to be fun. You know what I just realized? I misspelled Eagleman.
I can't do anything about that right now.
I just wanted to tell you. I wanted to tell you because people that are watching this are seeing that and going, she misspelled that. And I did. I was trying to hurry. We were trying to hurry and get this show on the air.
I can make that correction after it's been broadcast on Facebook. I'll go back and edit the title and make sure it's spelled correctly.
Fantastical. Fantastical. Thank you. I would love that. So, what does Wambli Wicasa have to do with, and, sorry.
Silence is not good on radio.
It's not good. Talk about it, Duke.
Well, I don't know. I don't even know what you're going to do tonight.
Oh, I know. I'm gonna surprise the heck out of you. Okay, yeah. Listen. So, Wiyaka Eagleman showed up in Tijuana and then met up immediately with Vivian Farmarie from the Caravan Support Network and Jessie Sandoval, who was being talked about and featured her videos in the Caravan Support Network as she traveled with the Caravan from Mexico City, like Myron, like David Gaskins, all the way up north. And I immediately disliked this woman right away because she would just break down and cry in the videos, and she had this like weird hero complex that have you noticed that all these people, they like break down crying and they're like, this is so hard and I'm so poor and what I'm doing and damn America. They're very like that, and you're like, wow, these people need to be on Librium, or, I mean, I don't know. There's something off about them. Like their emotions are all over the place. I don't suspect, I know that when I saw that coming from people at Standing Rock, it was because they were heavily addicted to meth. Because they were on drugs and their moods were all over the place. And I did show you a video of someone that looks like they were on some heavy drugs. Orlando Cruz from Wambli Wicasa's camp, Somi Village Base Camp, headed by Carrizo Come Crudo Chief Juan P. Mancias. A camp that was founded by anarchist Evan K. Duke along with this indigenous group, right? Where we have seen that the Sierra Club veterans have gone to camp out with the folks that are at the border. But also, I told you early on, and I can't stress this enough, that a former felon, repeat paid protester, Luis Monsiváis, who is part of this group of activists who was down in the Rio Grande Valley, probably one of the first people down there even before the camp started, talking about where you cross illegally. How do you cross people? Because he's a coyote, essentially. He described crossing people over the border, undocumented, illegally, having friends on both sides that they can totally get you across, really safe. It's a family business. It's a money-making business. They were advertising in a video how they were going to cross people illegally.
Yep, and showing, too.
And showing where to cross and how to do it. So right away, I knew they were going to be breaking the law because they advertised it. And this isn't anything new. You might not think that these coyotes are out there on social media saying, hey, I can get you across for this much money, but they're doing it all over the place. There's evidence of it. Some of you have sent me videos and news pieces featuring WhatsApp conversations, Facebook posts, just very brazen. People aren't even trying to hide the fact that they're going to do this act. They're going to do this illegal act. And who is putting themselves square in the middle of all of this? Indigenous people that have one of the biggest problems, especially with human trafficking of women and sex trafficking of their people in the United States. Isn't that weird? Isn't that weird that one of the biggest problems indigenous people have in this nation, in the United States of America, is human trafficking and sex trafficking of their people, is missing and murdered Indigenous women, which many of them talk about a lot. It's a real problem. It's a super big problem. So it's really, really disturbing to see people like Wiyaka Eagleman working hand in glove with the people that helped to kidnap an Oglala elder, Mary Trujillo, and put an innocent woman in jail for 15 years, because that's what would have happened if a Mexican Crossing Lines, if 88.1 FM hadn't reported on that story for over a year and a half, hadn't fundraised to get this woman an attorney, and hadn't exonerated her of all of the lies told by many of the people in the indigenous leadership of the Standing Rock camp. And I brought people this story, especially locally here, especially to progressives, especially to local people that claim to care about this issue, and said, there's a woman that's 82 years old with dementia, languishing in the hospital and dying. Is anybody care? Does anyone, anybody? I felt like I was in the Bueller movie. Anyone? Anyone? Not you guys? No? The missing and murdered and no? Okay. Oh, you're working with a kidnapper. Got it. Oh, you're being funded by the people that made false claims to Morton County about this woman. I see. You're working with the headsman that kicked her family out and had her mother kidnapped. Got it. Oh, you guys were the ones that paid the fake marshal to assault Kathleen Bennett and pull her out of the ambulance so that her mother would end up at the hospital by herself. I see. Understood. Oh, you're the legal team defending the people that filed the false police reports against this innocent woman. Completely innocent woman. Understood. Now I understand why you won't help Kathleen Bennett. Because all of them were helping the people that put her in jail. All of them were helping the people that put her mother in an early grave. And I, for one, after I exonerated Kathleen Bennett and reunited her with her mother, after we took her home, I, for one, vowed never to let anybody forget what they did, what this group of people did to Kathleen Bennett, to her mother, and what the rest of them did to hide it, to cover it up, or to just try to discredit the reporting of a Mexican Crossing Lines in order to sweep it under the rug and don't let anybody know that you were involved with such a heinous crime. Because now these same people got their hands out and going, hi, I'm a hero from Standing Rock. Can I have millions of dollars to help people in the caravan? And you are giving the money. Because they got the cred. So I want you to understand how Wiyaka Eagleman goes back to Standing Rock, ties back to Standing Rock. How Wambli, he's also known as Wambli Wicasa, is connected to Errol medicine and what Errol medicine represented at Standing Rock and what they're going to represent now in the caravan. How this all ties to the Somi base camp and other camps being built along the border by these anarchists connected with Antifa, connected to the group by any means necessary, that use violence at our border. Well, they use violence everywhere, but I'm saying they have used, they will use again, violence. Bashing people's skulls. This is what these folks do. I've shown you the police report where they gather up the weapons taken from these people. I show you how they attack police, how they attack errant strangers, how they mistakenly attack people and hurt people they didn't intend even to hurt. These are the people that these border support network, Antifa, BAM connected groups, anarchists groups got together with. They got together with indigenous groups, indigenous tribes like the Tohono O'odham, like the Carrizo Come Crudo, and members of the Lakota tribe of the Standing Rock. And another one of those people that connects to that camp, as I told you, is Juan B. Mancias. He's very closely tied to Myron Dewey, as well as Nexus billionaire wealth people like Christina Hollenbeck, the lady that made false charges against Kathleen Bennett, and also Mary Ann Thompson Frank. I mentioned her several times. So we're going to talk about the ties to digital smoke signals in Myron Dewey and Birdie Gutierrez, Bridges of Love Across Borders. That many of the people following me on this caravan stuff will already know, will already recognize how all of this connects to the LGBTQ caravan and Pitaya Queen, a.k.a. Anakay Flotte, a.k.a. OJ Pitaya, a.k.a. Roberto Anakay Flotte. And Mark Lane. Don't forget Mark Lane of the Minority Humanitarian Foundation, the Rapid Response Network in San Diego. That's where I'm going to be in a week. In a week, I'm going to be at the place where they are handing out millions of dollars to just newly formed organizations that at some time did not even exist to serve the caravans or the migrants that know very little, just started practicing in the area of law of immigration. But no matter, don't you worry about that. What could possibly go wrong?
Yeah.
What do you think could possibly go wrong with a bunch of unskilled lawyers, untrained volunteers giving misinformation and lies to millions of people, bringing them all illegally into the United States, breaking our legal system, and basically attacking our government? What do you think could go wrong, Duke?
Pretty much everything. You know, and things have went wrong. I mean, let's not kid ourselves. There's been so many things going wrong, and, you know, people haven't caught up. What's happening now, we watch the news. Like Cindy says, we'll take a break and we'll watch news. We do a lot of YouTube news. And we'll see reports and stuff that we talked about 3, 4, 5, 6 months ago. And we've been actually downloading videos that actually, you know, are proving what we've already said. But it's always good to go back and say, see, we told you. We told you these people were involved. We told you this thing was planned. We told you there was these political implications and political moves to do these things. There was money flowing through these nonprofits. All that stuff is surfacing even with more and more evidence today, even though we were talking about it 3, 4, 5, 6 months ago.
Well, I know it's hard to understand the Standing Rock piece for everyone, because those of you who are new to my show, those of you who did not follow what happened here in North Dakota, my audience in Mexico, les mando un fuerte abrazo con mucho cariño para todos ustedes. Les prometo que voy a empezar a hacer programas en español otra vez, solamente que no he podido. And I will continue to do Spanish programming for my Spanish audience. I really want to do that. I honestly just haven't had the time because of this planning of this, working on this. And all of that is to say, it is incredibly important for me because how the topic of immigration is handled, how the organizers that are leading this charge in our country are approaching the topic. Because what I see happening here is that people that know very little about the topic are in charge. People that don't have skin in the game are in charge. People that are not the most affected out of those affected by immigration policy, by the border wall, by the migration through Mexico, the people that are most affected are not in charge. Their voices are not at the top. Their voices are not at the forefront. What's wrong with that image, Duke? What's wrong? What happens when the people most affected by an issue, which in this case would be Mexicans and Mexico, when they're not in charge, when they're not at the forefront of the discussion, and when those who are, and I'm going to call them what they are, I'm going to call them tokens, because they get a brown face or a Colombian face or any Hispanic speaker, and they just interchange them for the authority of Mexicans. And they have people like Birdie Gutierrez who are out there, and there's a lot of these other Mexican Americans you've seen, like Pitaya Queen, who are attacking, they were committing lateral violence against Mexicans here in the United States and in Mexico. They're committing lateral violence and spreading hate and lies about Mexicans and about Mexican authorities. Why? Why would organizers and leaders who say that they're organizing principles, who've studied how to be organizers and help the people they claim to help, why would they commit lateral violence against the people that they're supposedly the most affected? Why are they stepping over Mexico like we are a welcome mat while they lie about our government, they lie about our police, and they lie about the people themselves, calling us racists, xenophobes, oppressors? Doesn't make any sense, does it, Duke?
No, they're not organizers. These people are far from being organizers. If they're organizers, they know that that's the primary thing you do is you develop leaders. You have people speak for themselves. Your goal is to have a community take on its own issues, and you're there to offer some sort of assistance, some organizational support, give them some things they don't have. These people aren't organizers. These people are stepping all over what organizing really means. So they're not organizers. They're activists, and activists are kind of whatever they want to be.
They're
These
advocates.
people are advocates. These people are basically just opportunists. They are taking
There
on
you
things,
go.
and they are taking things on and just doing things the way they want, and they're manipulating. They're basically spies. And so it's like, it really makes me mad when people call themselves organizers, because I'm old school. You know, I went to actually organizing school. You know, I was trained by Shell Trap out of the NTIC out of Chicago. You know, did all sorts of training and had a career in community organizing. These people haven't even flipped through a brochure of what community organizing means. And it really makes me mad when they use those words. And they confuse what leaders are and, you know, activists and those sorts of things. And, you know, this whole thing from Standing Rock has been a stepping stone for what's happening with the Caravan. That's why we bring it up, because it never went away. These people didn't go away. They kept on using the credibility, the street cred they got from Standing Rock, and they started stepping on more people, enriching themselves, speaking at colleges, getting all these gigs, being in movies, finding ways to channel more money and act like they're helping fight for a cause. You know, it's just been disgusting. We wanted to be done with the Standing Rock stuff a long time ago, but it's still there, and it's still right in the middle of this Caravan.
Yes, and you know, this reminds me that there's a group called Say No to Fascism. Say no to fascism. To fascism. You should go check out this group, because I was blown away when I looked at who was on the list of the founders of that group. Among the founders of the group is Chase Iron Eyes, one of the leaders, one of the Lakota leaders, one of the main organizers of the Indigenous Peoples March, main fundraisers for the camp, one of the people that basically led the last child's camp where people were arrested, very closely connected to all of this. Another person that was one of the founders of that group, Say No to Fascism, Duke, is one of those Weather Underground guys. Bill Ayers is his name? Is that his name?
Probably. Yeah, sounds familiar.
And what did they do? They blew up people in buildings, right?
Yeah.
Like domestic terror. I just want to make clear that they created a group that has a communist on it, a terrorist on it, Chase Iron Eyes on it, and Michael A. Wood Jr. from the Veteran Stand for Standing Rock. I don't think that's a coincidence. What is the Weather Underground? Are they not?
Well, they're responsible for the militarization of the police in this country. I mean, they basically formed their own. They're a bunch of white college students, anarchists, that were going to go out there and change the world for people of color. They're fighting for racial equality, and they were blowing up stuff, and they were domestic terrorists, and they blew up a building in Washington D.C., a government building, and that got the administration and everybody to start getting weapons, getting bombs, to start fighting this domestic terrorism, because the Weather Underground started all this. There's a good Netflix documentary about them. One of them is from Minnesota, and these people hid out. The people that weren't arrested and put in jail in those days have been hiding ever since. But they got this street cred from being part of the Weather Underground, because they were, anti whatever, and they actually represent some of the real harm that's been done that has hurt people of color. Here's a group fighting for people of color, none of our people of color, and they're making life worse for the communities of color in our communities, and that's disgusting.
Now, this whole group of people on the refuse fascism. We refuse to accept a fascist America. There's no fascism, okay? Stop making some things that don't exist. Stop making up things that don't need fixing, okay? Because these are coded words that are, this is the same Chase Iron Eyes that went to Israel with the group connected to BDS movement, the Boycott, Divest, and Sanction movement, 2 of whose members were arrested, detained for more than 24 hours, and then deported and told they can't come back. One of those people was a university professor. Guess what she's doing recently, Duke? She's weighing in on what's going on with the Caravan.
Really?
That same professor that was arrested in Israel?
Okay.
She's involved with the Caravans now.
I suppose.
Coinkydink?
Yep.
Okay, these are the people connected to Linda Sarsour. These are the same people. All of them show up in this group. We refuse to accept a fascist America. I put the link to one of the places where the list of people involved, the main signers, founders of this organization, are found. You can go and check it out for yourself. I'll just read it off for you right now so we know. Bill Ayers, activist, educator, terrorist from the underground, Weather Underground. That's him, right?
Mm-hmm.
Herb Boyd, activist, author, journalist, teacher. Isabel Cardenas, Salvadorian-American activist, Los Angeles. Carl Dix, founding member of the Revolutionary Communist Party. Niles Eldridge, evolutionary biologist. Charles Gaines, visual artist. Chase Iron Eyes, native activist, Standing Rock Sioux. Everett Iron Eyes, senior water administrator, Standing Rock Sioux. Suppose they're related? Robin D.G. Kelly, Gary B. Nash, professor of American history, UCLA. Frank Luck, executive producer of Joy of Resistance, multicultural feminist radio, WBIA. Rebecca Mendez, designer, focusing on design as social force. P.Z. Myers, evolutionary development biologist. Milton Sire, PhD professor of molecular biology, UCSD. Sansara Taylor, writer, Revolution newspaper. Cornel West, Dr. Cornel West, philosopher, professor, writer, and alum of Standing Rock. Did you know? He was there. He was there just like Ocasio-Cortez was, just like Linda Sarsour was, just like Chase Iron Eyes was, just like Yonazda Lone Hill Wolf, granddaughter of Farrakhan, Nation of Islam Farrakhan was. You wouldn't believe how many of these actors got together. How many of these activists got together. How many of these architects, should I call them planners, of these overthrows of our government, of these revolutions. Michael A. Wood Jr., former Baltimore cop, turned pseudo whistleblower, made numerous appearances on The Young Turks. That guy, signer of We Refuse to Accept a Fascist America. Reverend Frank Wolf, United Methodist minister, Andy Z, spokesperson of Revolution Books, and David Ziegler, a filmmaker. Okay. You need to go check it out. Check it out. And I want to go back to Mr. Wicasa. Wiyaka Eagleman, Wambli Wicasa, Feather Boy. Here's someone else that the Caravan Support Network is very connected to. There's Myron Dewey. There's Vanessa Dundon. Remember, Myron is with Digital Smoke Signals. Vanessa Dundon represents Butterflies Without Borders and Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women. A site, a page run really primarily by Jay Ponte, guru, personality, fundraiser, extraordinaire, working hand in glove with Frances Fisher of Hollywood fame. Clint Eastwood's baby mama, you know. There's Birdie Gutierrez. And there's Wambli Wicasa. All the way on the right with the blue vest over the red shirt. That's him. Tucked behind the guy with the orange hoodie is Tucker, Brendan Tucker. One of these connected people. Okay, next I want to show you. This was at Birdie's storage facility in San Diego, right? That photo was taken. Myron Dewey. What do we know about Myron Dewey? It's important to remember what we know. Here he is talking about Bernie Sanders' speech at the Nugget in Sparks. In a way, as you will note in many of Mr. Myron Dewey's posts, he shows his deep ties and his deep connections to the Bernie campaign and those who run it and those who manage it. Like Desiree Kane. Like Bernie Sanders himself. If you look at this second page, you will notice that he is talking about Indigenous people and why it's important for their concerns to be heard. And he calls it indigenizing the burn.
Wow.
So he's campaigning for Mr. Sanders. I'm sure he's out there sharing his stuff right now. You will notice a lot of these people associated with Standing Rock are very much into politics and sharing this information. Here's Dwayne with Vanessa. Remember, these folks went to Antioch College. They're in the colleges. They're recruiting students. Colleges are now taking a part in these subversive actions that intend to bring undocumented people into the country to seek asylum, something unprecedented, something never done before in the history of our country. That colleges are now going to be teaching people how to do what these subversive actors who want to enact violence at our border against our authorities, that want to enact violence to get this government to do what they want, to change policies. Yeah, it's happening. It's happening now. And we have that. And here are Vanessa and Dwayne Redwater with Wiyaka Eagleman when they went down to Antioch. But Lilith was there. But Brendan Tucker was there. Lilith Sinclair, one of the admins, one of the other admins. I mean, I think the only one that might have been missing, and I only say that because I didn't find him in the pictures, is Myron. Because you've got Myron Dewey, one of the admins, Evan Duke, the founder, Wiyaka Eagleman, an admin, Lilith Sinclair, an admin, all of them together managing the Border Support Network. These are the movers and the shakers, and they're all at the college. And then they're going to tell you what they're going to do. Here's the chalkboard at Antioch College. This is what their network, Border Support Network, is about. At the very top. And they mapped it all out just so we understand it. This is what they were teaching out at Antioch. I'll have you move around to the left and right as I read from the chalkboard how they explain to the students what this network does and how it does it. Okay? I feel like Glenn Beck now because he does this sort of thing.
Here, let me move it up here and we'll just make it big.
You're going to have to move it around. You don't want to make it too big because it's going to get all blurry.
You can read a lot better now.
You can, but I just want to tell you, we're going to start with the top where it says Border Support Network. Right below it, you have this BS Eagle Condor prophecy crap that they've been trying to sell. The prophecy already came true, but it keeps coming true every time one of them says so. It's being used, it's being manipulated to get indigenous people in Mexico to unite under the same banner of the prophecy, which of course supersedes laws and borders, safety, common sense, ethics, you name it. It's like a magic amulet. Right underneath that, it says resistance. Resistance. What is that resistance for? Well, it's a resistance of all the way on to the right. Well, the middle section here is what the resistance part is, okay? The resistance is water protectors, okay? See that there? And then we have sponsors. I can't read that word. Leaders. Secret leaders. I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine, but we know that there's water protectors there, water protecting activities. If you have a better idea of what this little sanctuary records that say it could be sanctuary. It could be sanctuary. Send me your ideas for what you think these are. Make sure you draw it out so that you can share it with me. Yeah. But here's the important part, okay? Here is the important part. The important part is that we are actually able to take a look at this and get an idea of how they are mapping out this giant network of people they're working with. I've been telling you it's a giant network of people that they're working with. And people are like, oh, they're not connected. They're not working together. Even they say, we're not working together. Here's the proof. Proof's in the pudding. In this case, it's on the chalkboard at Antioch College. It says right there they're working together. Water protectors, right? Then we have below that protest organization. And then it says right underneath that, BSN leaders. That's the Border Support Network leaders. And under that, it looks like political statements. On the left, in the square next to water protectors, we have land front. It looks like land fraught, land something. And it says Butterfly Center right underneath that. So I think that this is the Somi set camp, the Yowli camp, the land front, the part where they're opposing the border wall. That one underneath Butterfly Center might say border wall. Looks like a W is the first part of the second word. It's hard to read, but I think that's what it is. And then underneath that, it says legal witnesses. I can't read the word underneath it, but it might be accompaniment. Don't know what it is. Not sure. You are all looking at this together, okay? And at the very bottom, with arrows pointing in every which direction, encompassing the whole board, is fundraising. Oh, yeah. Must do fundraising. Okay, now go back to the top so you can see how this whole section that we just looked at was the resisting. But there's also a little bit of resisting in these little squares to the left. To the left that say trauma and counseling right there in the middle. They're kind of squished. Do you see them? At the top there is this trauma and counseling. And then underneath it, it says know your rights. Oh, yeah. Trauma and counseling has got Myron Dewey written all over it. That's That's his favorite line. We have suffered historical trauma. I am a historical trauma trainer. So then over to the left even further, you have at the top what looks like, again, I apologize, this is poor quality picture that only gets worse and more pixelated as you try to expand it and make it larger. And it says history of, your guess is as good as mine. History of
something.
I don't know. But the first word under that, it looks like Myron. It looks like they're assigning who is going to be teaching the history of the thing that they're educating people about. And that person is Myron. That's what it looks like. Underneath that, you have discrimination, I think, or, yeah, discrimination. And then again, you see Myron's name. There's Myron. And above his name, I see Antioch. And above Antioch, I think I see the name Tucker, like Brendan Tucker. Mm-hmm. Now, all the way to the left, you got nonviolent DA. That's nonviolent direct action, folks. Part of the education is como tirar madrazos. Part of the education is how to bust a lip, how to throw a hand grenade, how to do violence, how to throw history of naturalization, someone says. Might be. That's a good guess. Now, that looks like it might be that. But Myron Dewey doesn't know the history of naturalization from a hole in the ground. He can't even string a sentence together. There's no evidence of this man ever acquiring any kind of teaching degree, but he calls himself a teacher and a professor. Maybe an adjunct at some places. I don't know. It's just disturbing to have somebody of his poor quality of understanding and education teaching anyone anything. Where it says nonviolent direct action, right below it says BSN teachers. That's Border Support Network teachers. And then underneath that, it clearly says Antioch. Yep. Antioch is going to be teaching this stuff to go help people assault federal officers and our military. Are you getting this? Because they know that Trump sent troops to the border. You've seen them in articles I've shown you. Evan Duke, Lilith Sinclair, Brendan Tucker. These same people on this board in articles in the San Diego Union Tribune being questioned about how they're helping throw people over the border, which they denied and said, no, we didn't bring these people here. We didn't know anything about this. We did not. All we were doing here was documenting and being medics. Being medics. On here it says they're doing nonviolent direct action. That's what it says. Indian culture and history. There's Myron's name again. Myron's name is on that one. And it looks like at the top we got Errol, Medicine, and Wiyaka. Dewey. You hear that? Mm-hmm. See, Errol, Wiyaka, Dewey. That's Errol Medicine. That's Wiyaka Eagleman. He was always going to bring in this Indian part to the Border Support Network. But make no mistake, they are working with Antifa. They are working with anarchists and openly admitted criminals, felons, coyotes. Openly admitted child rapists. This is who this group of people has been working with, did work with at the camp. Just ask some of the people that have been watching my show for a few years that are watching this right now. How many, start naming in the comments, how many of the camp security people, how many of the people out at Standing Rock were A, child rapists, B, rapists in general, and or felons that had to even in many cases be registered sex offenders that were put in camp security, protection positions, putting them in in charge of searching for missing and murdered people. How many times can you think of all the names, guys? Can you think? I would start with Mulaney Stoneman. So I want to listen to this right side now. I want to look at this right side, excuse me. Let's look all the way on the right side of the Border Support Network so we can learn what their poop show is all about and how it's organized. The right-hand side, which is migrant support, consists of what? Okay, let's look at it. We got in the first square, donation distribution. Who's going to do that? Who's got that job? Well, the first person is Tucker. Tucker is from Texas, says in parentheses. Then there's Birdie. That must be Birdie Gutierrez of Bridges of Love Across Borders. She's in San Diego, SD. And then you have Lolly, like Laura Christina Livingston Berger. And she's in TJ. Tijuana. Who are they giving the donations to? The migrants. Who are the migrants? The people they're crossing illegally into this country. Then to the right of that, we have sponsor support. That means they got to get these people sponsors in the United States. Beneath that, we have medical support. Medical support. Do you see that? Mm-hmm. Medical support. Where is that? I know they got a medical clinic on the second floor of Enclave Caracol. I can't read what those two things down there are. If you got any guesses, give them to me. Let me know what you think that is. It looks like from, mm-hmm. And the one below that looks for, I can't tell. It's too blurred out, isn't it, Duke?
Yep. Yep.
What's your best guess? Activists? What is that first?
I can't tell you.
Medical support for activists.
Oh, okay.
For migrants and for activists, right?
Yep.
I solved it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I that's a guess, guys. For. But the first word is for, right? Mm-hmm. Medical support for it looks like activists.
Yeah.
So activists. And then the other one would be Caravan something. Oh. I can't tell. Anyway, let's go. Let's keep going.
Yeah, please.
The final point here, the final square there is legal support. Legal support. Border Support Network people are working hand in glove. All these people are working hand in glove. They even got their damn names on the chalkboard, folks. They even got their damn names up on this chalkboard. Don't let them tell you they're not working together. Don't let them tell you that they're not part of the network. Don't let them tell you that this one doesn't know what the other one does because they're working together. They always have been. And they're doing legal support, asylum seekers, immigrant rights. You see that? Mm-hmm. Immigrant rights, asylum seekers, immigrant rights. And then there looks like there's some names down there.
Yeah.
Or who's going to be doing this stuff. I can't exactly tell. But if you go all the way to the other side, Duke, if you go all the way to the other side at the very bottom, it has one of their other partners, one of the most important parts of their legal support. And there, in that square that's got two, one of them is al otro lado. The first one is al otro lado. Look at it. It is clear as a day. Al otro lado. You see that? Mm-hmm. They're all working together. They did know each other in many cases, all the way going back to Standing Rock, working with the same people. The other person listed down there in my opinion, is Tucker.
Yeah.
Doesn't that look like Tucker?
Sure does.
Bingo. You got it. There you have it. Okay. That's the whole network, guys. They put it on a chalkboard for me. Muchas gracias, pendejos. Can somebody please send my show to the FBI? I solved it, and I want them to have it. I also made a little chart for you, if you want my little chart. Seriously, somebody send this to the FBI. Send it to ICE. Send it to the FBI. They need to have the chart drawn by the criminals so they can follow what they're doing. Don't you think? They left us a nice little chart. They also made this video. They broadcasted on Antioch college radio so that they could tell people what they were doing. Here's Lilith Sinclair, sex worker extraordinaire, stripper turned activist, now working with unaccompanied children, minors, migrant children near you, taking them to sleep in her car. Lilith Sinclair at Antioch College talking about what they're going to do. Here she is.
Hey, so could you begin by stating your name and what brought you to Antioch?
Yeah, my name is Lilith Sinclair, and I came to Antioch College as a member of the Border Support Network project. We got invited here by an activist who's been working with us, who is also a trustee here at the college, to form a partnership with the college itself centered around the Border Support Network Village project. And so there's so much that goes into the work that we're doing with that, and it's really exciting.
Hey, so could you begin by stating your name and what brought you to Antioch?
Yeah, my name is Lilith Sinclair, and I came to Antioch College as a member of the Border Support Network project. We got invited here by an activist who's been working with us, who is also a trustee here at the college, to form a partnership with the college itself centered around the Border Support Network Village project. And so there's so much that goes into the work that we're doing with that, and it's really exciting. Essentially, the reason that we're here is to give an outline of the work that we're doing, and that begins really with what sort of brought us all together, the activist coalition that we're working with under the name the Border Support Network. And what's really tied us all together is a commitment to following and supporting the leadership of Indigenous elders and Indigenous Native American leaders from the U.S. who have come together to push for support for our family seeking asylum from the South under the guidance and sort of the predisposition of something called the Eagle and the Condor prophecy. And so the Eagle and the Condor prophecy falls under another prophecy of Native American culture called the Seventh Generation prophecy. Essentially, that prophecy alludes to the fact that the seventh generation, which is this generation, will be the generation to help bring unity and peace to the world and unite us all as one people. And then underneath that is, or sort of a part of that, I should say, is the Eagle and the Condor prophecy. And so hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years ago, coming of people from the South, which are known as the Condor Nation, to the North. And the family of northern tribes at large is known as the Eagle Nation. And so that prophecy tells of the Condor Nation of the South coming up to meet the Eagle Nation, and the prophecy speaks specifically of the many separate tribes and nations under the Eagle Nation coming together as one to unite and to welcome our family from the South. So that's sort of what ties us all together. And once we all started working to reach out and make these connections in alignment with the Eagle and the Condor prophecy, we started working on a plan from there. And the plan that unfolded was the idea of setting up villages on Native American land spread out on the land of different tribes across the entire U.S. southern border to create villages of what I personally have liked to call villages of radical existence. And that's just my personal phrase for what we're doing here. But it's a really exciting project because these camps that we're working on getting set up across the border, one of which we've already started to set up in Floresville, Texas, on native land there, is multi-tiered. And so there's three main purposes for these camps. And those three main purposes are support for our brothers and sisters coming from the South in various different ways. The second purpose is education, and that education falls into a lot of different facets. It falls under the name of education on how to be a good activist, education on how to be a good white ally, and education on indigenous culture, and the actual true real history of this land and this country and the space that we exist upon and what actually happened when this country.
There you go.
Okay, let's unpack this BS for a minute. Esta pendeja. Seriously. Babosa. First of all, who's that trustee? I got some questions for that person about the money and how it's used at this university for crime. Second of all, she called the group in the Border Support Network an activist coalition. Just saying.
Mm-hmm.
I saw a lot of Antifa and anarchists, and they're definitely a step different away down from activists, I would say. But then she said that what they are, this coalition, is a group of people committed to the leadership of indigenous leaders. They've all committed themselves to follow the Pied Pipers, the people they put in place, and they're all brown faces of leadership at Standing Rock or some other indigenous thing. And it just so happens that most of them had something to do with Standing Rock. And it just so happens that they're using this argument, this prophecy, this lie, this eagle and condor prophecy, which I don't care if you know if it may or may not have happened and whether or not it was accurately told. I know it wasn't accurately told. I know she's full of crap. She doesn't know what she's talking about, and neither do the indigenous leadership that they have committed themselves to following. We're going to say that we follow you, the indigenous leaders, because you have the moral authority to opine upon who can come into this country or not, whether or not we should have walls or borders or laws at all. And you guys, you pretend to be Indians that know the history of the condor and the eagle, okay? You guys pretend to know that stuff, and then you just shove it down all of the Central Americans and Mexicans' throats and go, we know more than you about immigration. We're going to take over, hijack an issue that mostly affects Mexicans, and we're going to say, you know what? Shut up, Mexicans. We're going to tell you what the hell is going on in your country. We're going to tell you about your history. We're going to tell you about an issue that's been affecting you your entire history. And we're going to take over as the leaders of that discussion. And you're going to shut up and like it. Well, I am here to tell you, no, not going to happen. We are not going to shut up and take it. Mexicans are fed up with your fake prophecy, with your fake activism, with your fake advocacy, with your made up hate crimes in Mexico, claiming the people there are being oppressed by Mexicans because Mexicans are xenophobic. Also, you can have your savior complex fueled and your pockets lined with the knee-jerk reaction of Americans who are only too primed to believe. Look how people were moved by the crying Indian, don't pollute art commercial.
The crying Italian.
The crying Italian, and he wasn't even an Indian. But this is what I'm telling you, folks. We are primed. People in America, and this says a lot about Americans, They have a knee-jerk reaction to seeing a Native American, especially somebody all dressed up in regalia with a drum, telling you, Ajish, you don't, shut up, white man. Don't talk about this issue. And they're like, we're here to be good white allies. Really? Is that why you're out front and center? Raising money, making decisions, and speaking on behalf of Indigenous people and Indigenous issues. People like Francis Fisher. I mean, how about Jim Peruzzi? How about Doug McLean? How about, I can keep going, Lolly B. I can go on and on and on and on. Desiree Kane. People pretend Indianing. And Indigenous leaders that are sold out to this nonsense. You pretend to be the leaders of us, okay? And we'll pretend to be your allies, and we'll do whatever you say because you're the good Indians. Got to save America. And they go, okay, you guys pretend that you give a rip about the eagle and condor prophecy and that you're just trying to follow the rules of the Native American because you respect us more, okay? But meanwhile, what they're really doing is they are pretending to be at the border to give support to protect the environment, to save the butterflies. What they're really there to do is to, as Lilith said, have radical existence. And what that involves is having violent clashes with police, tying themselves down to equipment to stop the border wall from being built in that section. And they're not going to stop it. They're going to raise a whole bunch of money and do a whole bunch of antics and get in front of a lot of cameras that make it look like they tried oh so hard, but oops, I guess the border wall got built anyway.
That's right.
Because they never intended to stop the infrastructure. They just wanted to get rich off of you thinking that they did. Because we're so stupid in America that we're more concerned about fighting over whether or not we let the border wall be built that will eventually be built no matter what any of us think. That we will give money to these frauds just to see them act, just to see it happen. And here is another video where she spills more beans. You need to hear this. You need to hear her tell you what they are doing, what this is about. Listen up, Lilith and Claire, part 2, Antioch.
Main camps in Texas are sort of multi-tiered because there's going to be 2 camps. Or 2 villages, I should say. So the first village is in Floresville, and that village is going to act as an orientation. So this is where the bulk of our learning will be.
So the education component.
Yes. And so the idea behind this initial village in Floresville is to welcome activists in, give them an orientation on the project itself, what it is we're doing, give them an orientation on the rules of engagement and protocols for when they move forward onto the Butterfly Center village, and to also give them the opportunity to do the learning that they need to be able to effectively do that. So there's a couple of different things that we're primarily focusing on as far as education for activists wanting to move forward that's not directly related to the Indigenous cultural history side of things. And so what we're wanting to make sure that activists have a grasp on is know your rights trainings, making sure we're helping people be informed as to what it is and isn't possible for them to be engaged in lawfully. And what the risks are for the different types of engagement that they have. So that's one of them, is Know Your Rights training. Another one is we want to make sure that people actually understand what is nonviolent direct action. Because these camps are, in these villages, I should say, these villages are being set up as permanent structures where people can make a physical stand against these human rights atrocities in a peaceful way and in a nonviolent way. So we'll be doing nonviolent direct action trainings. What does that look like? What are different tactics that people use to stop, like wall construction or stop pipeline construction in a peaceful way, but that is still aggressive. Because there's a difference between, the general idea of what resistance is, and all of the sort of violent connotations that come with the word resistance, and nonviolent, peaceful, direct action that we do in an aggressive way. So there's a way that you can tie in being peaceful with being aggressive and intentional. And so that falls under things like what you saw at Standing Rock with, people connecting themselves with PVC pipe and duct tape and chains, so that they're not doing anything but existing in a radical manner, but it still puts a burden on and puts a stop to the work that the government is trying to do. So we'll be doing Know Your Rights trainings, nonviolent and direct action trainings. We're also going to be having conversations with people about generational trauma and sort of setting up a protocol for assessing what level of trauma people are coming in with, and giving them the skills and the coping methods, and making sure that they are able to successfully and healthily be involved in, this sort of traumatic experience that inherently comes with standing up to the United States federal government, because we know that the U.S. federal government is the most militarized government in the entire world. We know that they are needlessly brutal and needlessly violent, no matter how peaceful activists are being. So we want to make sure that people are prepared on all fronts for that. And then the fourth really important piece is documentation and aggressive media strategies. So we want to make sure people know, how do you document? How do you make sure that you're getting the shots that you need to get? How do you operate a drone, for instance, and make sure that you're getting those wide shot footage compilations that are needed to really show the full scope of what exactly the federal government is doing, because we know they kind of like to hold their cards.
What's also happening.
Yeah.
If you're not there, it's hard to know, and if you're only following what controlled media sources are telling you, it's hard to have a large scope unless we have these media activists there.
Exactly, for sure.
So how are you thinking that the Antioch community could be involved?
So what we're really excited about is we've made this partnership with Antioch, and the partnership is super multifaceted, right? And so it's a verbal support. It's a verbal backing and commitment to making sure that the Antioch campus and itself, its students and its staff and its faculty are behind us to say that we support what the Border Support Network is doing. But also, we've made partnerships to bring students into the mix. And the students at Antioch, I've already learned, come from all walks of life. It's a really amazing campus and a really amazing culture here that is really centered on social justice and really centered on creative learning and creative education. And so for people who don't know, the Antioch campus has cooperative programs built into their educational style. And so with the co-ops, which are opportunities for hands-on learning in a variety of different fields, in a variety of different places all across not only the country but around the globe, we have the opportunity to take the education aspect of the border support networks and tie that in to the cooperative learning methods at Antioch. So we'll be looking to build strong and useful curriculum that we can take forward, and we can sort of merge these two things together so that we can bring students into the mix and give them an opportunity to learn what does it look like to be an activist, and what does it look like to be not only an activist but an organizer. What does that look like, and how do you move forward in that field? And in that, not even necessarily field isn't the right word, but how do you live a lifestyle that is centered around social justice in a direct and meaningful way? And so that's super, super exciting to be able to have that partnership. And then the third level of partnership is also moving forward to sort of activate and mobilize not only the students and teachers and staff and faculty here, but also reaching out to make broader networks and broader alliances with colleges across the country. So that's really exciting.
Is that the next step?
That is the next step. We'll be working on getting a fuller, broader proposal written up that we can go ahead and move forward and start reaching out to people who would like to be involved and who would like to make the commitment that Antioch has made in partnership with what we're doing here.
Okay. So that was 13 minutes. Just letting you know, I thought that was a good pause because that was a point where like it could end, and I wouldn't need to edit it at all, really. Like only to like remove your ums and everything. But that was like so informative and good. If that's where you would like to end, so I don't see.
Okay, it was. Congratulations,
Yes.
girl.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, who would have thought she could just jump off the stripper pole and go to Antioch and teach America's children?
That's right.
But there she is doing it. Folks, that is some commitment. I mean, and I guess Antioch is signing off on all of this
I
because
guess they're on the chalkboard.
they're on the chalkboard and they've made a commitment, as she said, to support the Border Support Network. So Antioch trustees, I have a question if you got a minute. You guys okay with these folks working with human smuggling and trafficking? Are you okay with the part where they partner with people with criminal backgrounds and sexual abuse histories? How about the part where they are kidnapping unaccompanied minors or providing people in the caravan with drugs? I have questions about what you're okay with, because that's what they're doing. That's what they're doing, and I've shown you example after example. I have video. So
Yeah.
it's like, what does it take? What does it take for people to believe? Because I still get messages where people, many of them connected to all of the support that went to Standing Rock. Hey, there's no shame in admitting you were wrong. I was out there reporting. I thought Morton County was doing some terrible things to the Native Americans and the activists because these people are good at propaganda.
Mm-hmm.
I got my story straight, and I am now making sure to inform everyone of the truth, because that's what a person does when you see something wrong, right?
Right.
You go, okay, time to correct this and tell people what's going on, as a decent person does. She talks about how you're going to do nonviolent direct action aggressively.
Yeah.
But y'all saw their introductions. Y'all saw how somebody attacked this woman, this same woman, for telling him or her not to talk about violence. And she backed down because she said basically, you're right. Because he said, wait a minute. Huh? Is a group started by anarchists telling me I can't talk about using violence or any means necessary to get what we want, because that's what we do? It's kind of an understood thing. And she's like, no, you're right. See you at the protest. I'll be the one in black.
Yeah.
She literally said that.
Mm-hmm.
So don't get it twisted. Just because she knows how to spokesperson well doesn't mean that what they're doing isn't a criming. They've just learned to use the coded language throughout. But there's still evidence of the fact that what they're really doing, what they're really messaging, what they're really about is something far, far different than what they claim. Why can't I ever spell asylum seekers? Maybe it's because I hate the term.
Yeah, exactly.
Because it's so awful. Here's asylum seekers with Errol medicine. This is when they first arrived in California, when they were going to start working on donation delivery. Wiyaka Eagleman, one of the Indian culture people on the board, with Myron Dewey, right? Mm-hmm. Here they are. Here's Wiyaka. Vivian Farmery is somewhere in that mix because she was in the videos along with the people that showed up at that time. That lady looks very familiar to me, the one in the middle there next to Birdie. So the guy in the wheelchair in the front is Errol. Then You got Dwayne Redwater behind him. Both of these men were on the chalkboard at Antioch. They're super important part of this network, guys. That's why they're on the chalkboard. That's why they're admins on the page. That's why they were at the very top of leadership at Standing Rock as well. Vanessa is another one of these folks. Border Support Network has also Lillian. Sorry, not Lillian. I skipped the next one. Let's see some star power here from Hollywood. This is back at Standing Rock. You've got Wiyaka here, and it says award-winning actress Rosario Dawson stands with Standing Rock. Look at the bottom of the whole thing there. Can you show the whole thing, please? Stands with no dapple. Excuse me. Water is life. And Wambli Wicasa is Mr. Wiyaka Eagleman. That's his other account. They're at Sacred Stone Camp. They are with Anakay American Horse, who I can only assume is related to JR American Horse, one of the spiritual leaders out there, one that was kicked out close to the end, as the Red Warriors were, when Bill Running Fisher and the veterans arrived. And to the right, you will see, or not to the right. Yes, to the right, you will see some people liking this post. Let me see.
There's nothing to the right.
There's nothing to the right? Oh, you're right. There's nothing to the right. How about at the very bottom? Is there something at the very bottom where people liked it and commented? That's it? That's as far as it goes? Okay, maybe it's on the next page. Next page, this is Border Support Network, people. Lilith Sinclair shopping with Birdie Gutierrez. And there's Wiyaka. And you can see at the very bottom, this is the store that Birdie was at with where they were, and Vivian Farmery is there. See, she's another one of the admins on the page. Also, if you'll recall, Vivian Farmery is one of the people who is connected to BAM. She's friends with the BAM lady. She's also with the Detroit Occupy ICE page.
Yeah.
She was one of the Occupy ICE people. You have Susie with Doug. Here's Susie. Vanessa Dundon, another one of the people connected to Wiyaka, very closely connected to Wiyaka. And she is tagged with Doug McLean in Baja California, along with 9 other people. And who liked this post? Well, the Susie with Doug tagged post was liked by none other than Francis, Myron, Vanessa, Birdie. There's one of them, Francis Fisher. There's Myron close behind. If you keep scrolling down, you will see Birdie Gutierrez. There's Vanessa Dundon, both of her accounts, Susie and Vanessa. There's Wiyaka, of course. And there's Birdie Gutierrez. Here is a post of his, Feather Boy. Well, you can see Wiyaka Eagleman is listed as Feather Boy by @RedHairCrow. Still holding the line at Standing Rock No Dapple. This was in October of 2016 when it was still happening. Experienced people keeping control. Wiyaka Eagleman's live video. And it's at facebook.com/featherboy. Do you want to know why? Because that's what his name means in Lakota.
Okay.
If you go to the next slide, you will see that. Wiyaka means feather boy in Lakota. That gives you a little bit more about his background. He went into the Job Corps. At 18, he moved to the city to work as a roofer during the summer. He went to Culinary Academy. But something happened to him, and all of a sudden, I don't know if maybe it was the people that he's related to, or very close to, that call him their relative. I mean, Birdie calls him her son. Birdie calls him mijo. Birdie calls him her nephew. Joy Brunn calls him her nephew. Paula Antoine calls him her nephew. I believe that Mulaney Stoneman, the kidnapper in the Kathleen Bennett case, also called Wiyaka her nephew.
Wow.
So many of the people, all the way at the very top, those most closely connected to AIM, the American Indian Movement, were connected to Wiyaka. And then all of a sudden, Wiyaka was working on the thread of the Keystone XL pipeline. And then all of a sudden, he was working jobs in on the reservation. Okay, he went back to Rosebud, and he said, "We don't have any jobs here." And he put aside his feelings of hatred and anger because of the genocide. And somebody should talk about what our people need. And he's decided to work for people, cut wood, labor free. How do you cut wood labor free?
You don't get paid for it.
No, that would be wage free.
That's
Labor free is by not doing labor. Labor free is no labor.
That's true.
How do you cut wood with no labor? Does somebody else cut it for you? Do you have a magical saw? Is that a typo, or am I going nuts?
Yep.
Cut wood labor free. What in the world?
It's magic wood.
Is it magic? And now I will cut wood labor free. Nothing up my sleeves, nothing here, nothing there. Oh, there's a pile of wood. Shazam! Does he have a machine that cuts the wood for him and delivers it to people? Does he own a wood cutting robot that delivers wood to people, like the new robots for the pizza and the Federal Express and the pharmacies do?
Mm-hmm, I guess.
Inquiring minds want to know. Anyway, so weird. But I need gas to do that, and there's no money here. To cut wood labor free, he needs gas.
Mm-hmm.
Gas, this involves a device that uses gas.
Exactly.
And maybe it's his car, maybe it's his magical machine.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's a picture of him.
What do you mean down here?
The one that you were on the thing, whether Wiyaka means feather boy. The article we were already on.
Yeah, it's right here.
That has Wiyaka on it. So, did you know? Do you remember all of the phonies from Standing Rock that went to Hawaii with LaDonna, with Mama LaDonna? One of them was Wiyaka Eagleman. Did you know that?
Nope.
Ed Higgins went. Tina Pugliese of Women Indigenous Media went. Myron went. Mulaney the kidnapper went. What else do we got?
On that one?
No, who else went?
Oh, I don't know.
You remember some people.
Some.
You don't remember, you can't think of a single name off the top of your head?
No, not at the moment.
Man. There was at least a half a dozen people, more than a half. There had to be like a dozen. There had to be a full dozen people that went out there. And Wiyaka was one of them. I failed to remember that. I failed to remember that. Chase Iron Eyes went. My God, every horrible, phony, fraud, manipulator that orchestrated the whole Standing Rock hoax, fraud, was there. Wiyaka was there. He got to travel. He's one of those people that gets sent around places. If you play your cards right, you get sent around places. And Wiyaka started his activism out a while back. I mean, here's an article from 2014 he was in, doing activism stuff. If you scroll down, you'll see it talks about, there's a picture of him and there's somebody saying, "Stop the Trans-Canada Pipeline." Notice how much of these people's work in activism has to do with pipelines and infrastructure projects. Without a car or cell phone, young Lakota man in South Dakota works to help his people vote.
Wow.
This one was about how he was trying to get people to vote.
I see.
And if you go to the second page, at Wiyaka, famous now, or hopes to be famous in this article, and it says, Wiyaka Eagleman has now become an American Indian activist. Perhaps he will become one of our famous ones.
Yeah.
And adjacent to all of these folks I just mentioned to you, very important, is Anakay Flotte.
Ah.
Anakay Flotte, as you know, is one of the people that has been accused of trafficking children, sexually trafficking children. No lo digo yo. It's not me that's saying it. It's people in Mexico. People that would have reason to know, like shelter managers. So here's a post of Nakay Flotte. Why did you cut off the tops where it, oh, there it goes. Anakay Flotte retweeted SOA Watch. I don't know what that stands for. Border Encuentro. SOA Watch. Border Encuentro. At SOA Watch, I'm assuming. On the 7th. This is from November 11 of 2017. I'm guessing this is from 2017. And it says the Colectivo Anahuacas Sin Fronteras. You remember that was one of the groups that Anakay Flotte created or was part of as a Mexican activist. And they called it Anahuacas Sin Fronteras.
Okay.
And it was a bunch of LGBTQ people that were traveling as a caravan. And it says they use maps and first-person accounts to depict the current migratory patterns in Central America, highlighting increased militarization and the theft of indigenous land during the first round of workshops today in Nogales, Sonora. Border Encuentro. There she is, teaching a class. Here is Pitaya Queen in 2015 writing about, 2016 writing about The Red Man. What Makes the Red Man Red by Frank Waln on SoundCloud. And as the arrows in writing in red indicate there, this happened prior to Standing Rock camps, but it also happened the same, pretty close to, the same time frame, ramping up to that point in terms of people positioning themselves to talk about indigenous issues in this particular way.
Yeah.
Anakay Flotte was on that forefront. She says, refuse to quantify how Indian I am, mathematically or otherwise. I refuse the quantification of my identity. So she is messaging about natives, native identity as an Indian, right?
Yeah.
And if you, is that all of it? The whole page? You got all of them? Okay, there's more. Indigenous identity, she says, in the predominant politics of race as biology can only exist in its pure form. The mixed subject is white. And finally, authors insist the majority of Hispanics in the U.S. are of European descent. Again, negative. So, here's another set of tweets from 2015. These from April. Dreamers moms. She retweeted about Raíces, Texas. Raíces, if you recall, is one of the groups that has been working very closely with LGBTQ caravans and Nakay Flotte, or OJ Pitaya, or Pitaya Queen, however you want to call her, this transgender activist, Harvard graduate that is accused of smuggling people and trafficking children sexually. They are now working, Raices is one of the organizations working with her to bring people, to transport people in the LGBTQ caravan, coincidentally. And if you continue to scroll down that page on those streets, you will see her talking about in 2015, the Carnes Detention Facility. Make no mistake, there was positioning happening far, far in advance to prepare for this attack on Mexico's sovereignty and the U.S.'s sovereignty, to plan to have Mexico become part of this pact, a movement to get rid of borders completely. Here is another post from her. If you place on, excuse me, why did you change it?
Oh, you said there's another post from her.
Yes, they keep going all the way down the page. If you place in an ontological border between U.S. and Mexico for analytical purposes, you should read about indigenous people of the border. And is there any more? Or is that all? Not down with white American Indian avoiding. I don't know what the rest of that says.
Nope.
Anyway, in a final set of tweets and examples from 2016. Okay. This is the same year that we had Standing Rock, and this is in June, so Standing Rock is already happening. It says, cis people can't get our genitalia out of their mouths. Months? I'm assuming she meant mouths.
That was a slip there, yes.
To define trans. Their world is made of vaginas and phalluses. Talk about phobias. And the next one is, for real though, she says, she's retweeting, looks like somebody named Akapa Supai saying, Dear non-natives, calling Incan, Mayan, Aztec, or Taino people Spanish/Hispanic is like calling Crees, French, and Lakotas English/French. Again, I just want to give you a sampling of how she is defining indigeneity, making herself a leader, positioning herself as a leader on LGBTQ issues, identity, on indigenous identity, on Mexican, American, Mexican identity, indigeneity, etc. Final one. What does it say? We need a safe space where we can burn, consume, and pray with our sacred medicines at Harvard University. So, there it is. She's from Harvard.
Yeah.
And then, all of a sudden, here she is, Anakay, Flotte, Pitaya, talking about Diversidad Sin Fronteras. A group, as I showed you in my Pitaya Queen show, she stole a platform for gay Mexicans that she took, plagiarized the work of the owner of the page, took the page from that person, and she's talking about how SOA Watch is highlighting this group she stole. It says, pero yo también soy un ser humano y tengo derechos también. Diversidad Sin Fronteras is highlighting the fight of LGBTQ migrants through a series of plays. Yes, like theater productions. And you get upset when I try to compare this to a show.
Exactly.
Because it is. And it says, LGBTQ inclusion SAO Watch Border Encuentro Chingonex. It says in the quote in Spanish, I also am a human being and I also have rights.
Okay.
And then below that, we have pictures of the actual play. I believe the one with the long hair may be Anakay Flotte. You know, her real aspiration is to be an actress.
Oh.
I think all of these people's real aspiration is to be actresses and activists. Activists. I have a new word. The Colectivo Anahuacas Sin Fronteras use maps. Okay, that's the one that we read before. All right.
Yep.
So now I want you to show Pitaya Queen partner. This is what the accusations are. This is on social media, on the web, a veiled story behind the Caravan rhetoric. It says, Roberto Anakay Flotte, a.k.a. Pitaya Queen, is not a, quote, poor, impoverished, broke, hungry refugee 1,000 miles away from Honduras. He only wants you to believe that he is. He and his partner, Cesar Mejia, are accused of being coyotes who work in human trafficking and prostitution.
Wow.
Is he from Texas? Yes, he was originally. Very interesting. So it's out there. I'm not the one first to say it. I saw much corroborating information in Mexico and many reports from there too. And that is who these folks are supporting. That is who these folks are working with, hand in glove, uña y mugre. Here is Happy American Horse. Oh, I skipped something. This is the Eagle and Condor propaganda. You see Eagle and Condor Nations Unite ceremony on Columbus Day. And you've got Wiyaka there, and if you scroll down further, you'll see that there's one of the Feather Boy videos.
Okay.
And it is that same propaganda put forth by Myron Dewey.
Yep.
The one that you heard him sharing and giving T-shirts and branding all of the migrants with when he went to Mexico City. Here, Wiyaka is sharing the same thing. In this next slide, we have Happy American Horse with Wiyaka. You remember Happy American Horse, the one that that singer made a song about?
Oh, yeah,
Neil
Young.
And he was one of the people that tied himself to equipment. He was a nonviolent direct action. Right?
Right.
Just like the one Lilith Sinclair was referring to. Who is he with? Wiyaka Eagleman. And what do they want? Support for the frontline warriors.
Oh, raising money.
They raised
18,000
as of the taking of this photograph anyway.
Wow.
So they can help the warriors do what? Be warriors.
I guess.
Activists. And here is the Happy Wiyaka retweet of the original occupiers of Sacred Stone Camp. Somebody retweeted, Wiyaka Eagleman and Happy American Horse are at Standing Rock and need your help.
Oh,
and they show the GoFundMe that we just...
Yeah.
And it says, beneath the picture, I feel lucky to have an interview with an original occupier of Sacred Stone Camp. Wiyaka Eagleman has been... So she's talking about him.
Yeah.
That's his cred. Next, I have on October 2015 that Eagle Butte organized, they organized a climate justice event. And it was organized by none other than one of the aunties of Wiyaka, Joy Brunn.
Oh.
She's connected to the Indigenous Environmental Network. Recently, the Indigenous Environmental Network's executive director met with Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who was at Standing Rock. Myron Dewey, in the next slide I have, is with Wiyaka in a search in a book.
Oh, yeah.
One of this searches turns up is my article, Standing Rock Infiltrators. The next says that there is a book in which these two gentlemen appear, and it says the book's name is Embrace the Darkness.
Oh, okay. Embrace.
You remember who wrote this book? Dean Deadman, drone pilot.
Oh, yeah.
Here's Birdie, Evan, Myron, Wiyaka, all together in a post about what? There's Birdie getting arrested.
Oh.
Guess what? This is the day that the clergy were getting arrested on the shores, honey.
Oh, okay.
The clergy in Tijuana, not in Standing Rock.
Yep.
Scroll down so you can see, honey. Look at the people tagged in the photo, please. This is a picture posted by Birdie Gutierrez, December 10. And Bonnie Lewis Brown and clergy were being arrested and taking a stand at the U.S.-Mexico border. Bonnie was, at the time of being arrested, at the U.S.-Mexico border with the rest of the clergy with, who is it?
Wiyaka Eagleman.
And Myron and Evan. You see that?
Mm-hmm.
Myron and Evan.
Wow. I remember when those guys were there.
Handing out the donations for what? Who are they handing out donations for? Can you read the words? Bridges of love across borders. That's Birdie Gutierrez.
Mm-hmm.
And who took the picture?
Wiyaka.
That's right, honey. They were all there. And why were they all together? What is the purpose of all these folks being together? They're always together. It's because they're working on messaging. They do media work. Myron, Wiyaka did media work together, have done media work together on this. Would you like to show the next slide, please?
Mm-hmm.
Here you can see in a post about their work, they list Johnny Dangers, Wiyaka Eagleman, Myron Dewey, Tisha Mitchell. If you go all the way to the top, you'll see that they were listed as part of a group of people that were listed in an article, and they wanted to show how private corporation for profit, the use of eminent domain to allow pipeline construction on private land and Indian reservations is not legal and nor protected under federal, state law, including local ordinances, according to federal court rulings. And yet it got built.
Yeah. Wow.
You see how they message about how what the government is doing here is illegal. They're the ones actually breaking the law. We're not breaking the law at all. Then later on, you find out they're being investigated by Homeland Security.
Exactly.
And then in the next slide, Duke, can you show me the next slide?
Sure.
Who's that, Duke?
Oh.
Tell them about it.
It's our favorites. Myron Dewey, Ed Higgins there, and Pugliese.
Could you name their organizations that they distribute media with, please?
Activate Now and Digital Smoke Signals and Pugliese. I don't. What's she activating?
Women Indigenous Rising.
Women Indigenous Rising. Yes.
Now let me just tell you that Women Indigenous Rising has worked together with many of these Hollywood people to produce videos, to produce media around all of their projects since Standing Rock.
Mm-hmm.
Ed Higgins Here platform, which was started by Madeline Kelly Merritt, an actress in Hollywood that also works on the Divest LA project along with Jay Ponte, the guru that helped Francis Fisher raise money with Jody Evans, the executive director of Code Pink. All work together. They work together, Duke.
Mm-hmm.
So, Myron is Digital Smoke Signals with drone piloting and media work. Higgins is also the same thing. And Pugliese is also the same thing.
Yeah.
Here is, did you miss one? Myron Works Media. Oh, no, that was the first one.
Yeah.
Now go to Myron Media Tent. Here's what he did at Standing Rock. There's a happy camper from Standing Rock, and the post reads, Facebook famous Myron Dewey, great guy, help me with the media tent, a.k.a. Facebook Hill. Melissa Anita Hill and Myron Dewey. That's what he's known for. He was always up on Facebook Hill where the media were.
Mm-hmm.
Remember that?
Yep, I do.
It's like if he sat up there on Media Hill, the ability to report and investigate would rub off on him somehow by osmosis.
Yeah, exactly.
But it didn't work,
No.
Myron. It did not work. And then you have Sandoval. Jesse Sandoval, Native Daily Network.
Huh.
It says, would you read that, Duke, please?
Many Lakota arrive at the border of Mexico, just fulfilling the 2,000-year prophecy of Eagle and the Condor. When the Eagle of the North flies with the Condor of the South, the spirit of the land she will awaken. Inca prophecy. as a Facebook link. We should all be there. Jesse Sandoval was live from Standing Rock to Tijuana, our Lakota fam spreading love in Tijuana, with Wiyaka Eagleman and Vivian Farmery.
Of the Caravan Support Network.
Wow.
Keep going. You're not at the bottom yet. Are you?
Yes. Just one moment. I'll double check. Yes, I am.
Okay, then go to the next one, please. So just note that Wiyaka Eagleman was being retweeted and shared, looked at as a leader by Jesse Sandoval. If you'll remember, she's the activist from the United States. She's a Nicaraguan American that formed the platform, the media platform, the messaging platform, where the caravan goers would speak for themselves, called Pueblo Éxodo Crónicas of the Migrant Caravan. She's the only one that ever posted to it that I know of. I don't really think that the people of the caravan decided to take on the unpaid job of doing all of this stuff for her. Those who you see doing live streams for these folks that are accompanying the caravan, I'm using that in air quotes because they should just call them what they are, which is coyotes.
Yep, exactly.
But those that do, they're getting paid. They're getting paid. Are you kidding me? Of course they're getting paid. They wouldn't be doing this for free. And if you look at that, we weren't done with that slide at all. I hadn't even discussed
brought
it.
it back so you could take it off there when you're talking
If
about
you
stuff.
scroll down further, please, you will see that related pages, related things, members with things in common, includes Wambli Wicasa. Right there.
Mm-hmm.
He has things in common. Next, we'll show you Jesse Sandoval, Pueblo Éxodo Wambli Wicasa, in which you will see. Did we get both of them? Or is that the next one?
That's the next one.
Mm-hmm.
I can go back and double check.
Nope. Go to the next one.
This one here?
Nope. The one that you're on. Please show it. From Standing Rock to Tijuana, our Lakota fam spreading love in Tijuana, Condor and Eagle, love and resistance. Go back to the top then. And this is her family in Tijuana. What is it? A video. Who is the video of? I know it's very dark, guys. And you probably can't tell that that's Dwayne Redwater and Wiyaka Eagleman playing their drums.
Okay.
And I think I already showed them doing that
I think the next slide shows
in
it
another
too.
video. But the next slide might have a better. There's Dwayne Redwater. This is a different video post that she shared of Wiyaka and Dwayne. And you can see that it's from her page. It looks like they're inside of a building in this one. So I think that they were at the Caritas shelter run by Birdie Gutierrez and Mark Lane. And here she is with a screenshot of the video where they're drumming in the street, I believe. Again, from Standing Rock to Tijuana, blah, blah, blah. This is on November 22nd. This is right around the time, guys, unless you forget that they first stormed, the caravanners first stormed the border wall and got into a violent clash with police.
Wow.
Coinky-dink?
Yeah.
I think not. Here is Dwayne with we'll just put the next one on. Birdie, Gutierrez, Jake Lee. They're shopping for stuff. You've seen this one a bunch of times, but I want you to look at the bottom who's tagged. There's Wiyaka, Rodrigo, the guy that was filming with Paola Mendoza, working with the hold on a minute, Duke. This is Rodrigo, the one with Sam Slovic. Sam Slovic, the guy that works with Jay Ponte and Francis Fisher all the time. That's Sam Slovic, the one that works with Winnie Wong and all of the PR people like Desiree Kane and Seven McDonald and Maggie Day. And this, Rodrigo, is also the same guy that was filming. He's the journalist, photographer, whatever you want to call him, that was going around with Paola Mendoza from Families Belong Together. Families Belong Together. The group that had, what's the name of the Hulk actor? Ruffalo. And that works with Jake Lee, Lolly B. Lolly B, they're distributors, but they also work hand in glove with Al Otro Lado. You've heard Jake Lee give his video, Know Your Rights videos for the people in the caravan, and also they're telling people how to be sponsors.
Yeah.
You've heard their videos. You see how these people are all working together. Okay?
Yep.
That is how they're connected to Birdie. That's why they're connected to Birdie. Here's Birdie's connections to Occupy ICE in Detroit. Because Birdie, as you know, is also connected to Occupy ICE in Detroit. And to Antifa. Because that's what they are. These people like Vivian Farmery, who's tagged below there, you will see they're putting out Birdie's fundraiser. And they want to have you give to the Camps Arising. There's Birdie.
Yep.
There's Birdie. Gutierrez. Next one is Wiyaka and Evan passing out donations. And it's got somebody named Kimila Locke is bragging how Wiyaka Eagleman, a Chicango Lakota relative from Rosebud, is in Tijuana.
Yeah.
And Evan Duke is with Dwayne Redwater at the San Isidro borderline in Tijuana. And they are handing out donations, as you can see there. And in the next slide, you'll be able to actually see Wiyaka in the picture as they're out passing out T-shirts on the street. And I'm passing out other donations to a waiting crowd.
I see.
Holding out their hands. I want one. I want one.
That's right. Give me one of those.
And they're branding them with the Condor and Eagle T-shirts, if you recall.
Yes, I remember
Vivian Farmery of the Caravan Support Network is in the next one here with Shane liking this post.
Okay.
She's the Caravan Support Network. And there's Shane Parmalee that works with Mark Lane's Humanitarian Foundation. And who else liked this post? Nobody that we care about, apparently. Keep going.
Oh, I'm moving.
Nope. Was a waste of time. In this
Yeah.
next one, we'll see who else liked this post. Here's more likes. Oh, there's Mark Lane and Ari Harnorvar.
Okay. Yep.
So Minority Humanitarian Foundation shows up at least twice. Ari Harnorvar writing the articles, working as a media propagandist for this group. And who else is in here?
That same one.
Mohammed. Yes, the next slide shows it. And it is in slide 10.
Okay.
We will see it now. It is the same one you just liked. This is the same one. Could you go to the slide titled Mohammed Wambli liked in scene 11? There's Wambli Wicasa, and at the top of this slide, or maybe at the bottom, you will see, finally, there's Marco Octavio Rafael. We've seen him before. Mohammed El Nakib of the San Diego Rapid Response Network, working very, very closely with Birdie Gutierrez, very, very closely with Jewish Family Services, very closely with SEIU, working very, very closely with Mark Lane's Minority Humanitarian Foundation. And Birdie Gutierrez's fundraiser was posted by Wiyaka. This one was to in Spanish, as you can see, to invite people to support the migrants in the caravan. And they're raising money for the migrants in the community. There's a karaoke show. There's queer novella. So Pitaya and her performances probably are involved.
Yep.
What else they got? Music, raffles, drinks.
Yep.
They got karaoke and food. It's taking place December 5th. And there's Birdie Gutierrez.
Yep.
And who shares this? It was posted by Wiyaka. Look, here's the second one. It says, posted by Wiyaka Eagleman, December 6th. He's helping fundraise. He's helping. Look at how involved this young guy, because he's still pretty young, is in this movement with the Antifa people in Texas, in Tijuana, and very much connected to the people in the leadership of AIM. It's important. It's a little piece you needed to get to know, and we brought it to you here on A Mexican Crossing Lines with your hosts, Cindy Gomez-Schempp
and Duke Gomez-Schempp.
You've been listening to 88.1 FM, KPPPLP Fargo Moorhead, where we are adding local color to your airwaves. I know that was a lot to learn. I'm proud of you for sticking through it and learning with me and understanding more deeply what these folks are doing and how it's structured, what it's for, how it works. That's how we'll understand that's how we'll expose it. That's how we'll get rid of this fake activism and the frauds that are taking place. And that's how we're going to be able to protect American sovereignty and the sovereignty of Mexico in the process. So thanks for doing the hard work and being with us. And until next time, buenas noches.